What's up, everyone? We are back with picks on every single NBA game for Wednesday, February 28th. The NBA is back by popular demand. I see everyone in the comments, and we give the people what they want. This video is brought to you by StumpTheSpread.com, where you can get all of our best picks and predictions on every major sport. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the NBA and NCAA basketball videos we post every single day. Welcome to all the new subscribers and new viewers. Don't forget to comment below with any questions or bets on today's slate. I read and respond to every single comment. Now let's dive into our first game of the day, New Orleans at Indiana. New Orleans comes into this game fresh off a win last night. They played against the very depleted New York Knicks. We saw CJ McCollum sit out that game. There's been some suspensions going on for the Pelicans from that little scuffle they had against the Miami Heat. New Orleans has been struggling a little bit. They lost to Miami, they lost to Chicago. Both those games happened in New Orleans too, so that's a little bit of a concern. Maybe going out on the road will do this team some good. We did see Zion play quite a few minutes in this game, so will he play here on back-to-back nights going on the road? Hard to know. He's been dealing with this ongoing foot issue, which is a big concern given someone that's his size playing in the very athletic and punishing fashion that he tends to play. We've got CJ McCollum. He missed this last game. Maybe he's just sitting out the first half of a back-to-back. He's dealing with an ankle issue, and he's missed 2 games in a row, so this could be a little bit more than that. We might not see him play in this game. That's a pretty big loss, especially if we have Zion out. If Zion and CJ McCollum both sit out, that's a big deal. Indiana comes into this game. They've been playing pretty well. They did just lose a very, very disappointing game to the Toronto Raptors. Indiana playing at home. They're not looking to lose to teams like that. They're not looking to lose to Pascal Siakam's old team. Not really the look for this squad. Right now they're healthy, except for Aaron Naismith. He is listed as questionable for this game. He sat out against the Pelicans on Wednesday. He's questionable for this game. He's dealing with an ankle issue. He's missed 3 straight games, which just moves Mathurin kind of into the first unit and gets him a little bit more burn, which is absolutely fine with us. The Pacers have been amazing all season long. They kind of had a little bit of a hiccup after the All-Star break, which isn't a huge shocker given that the All-Star game was in Indiana. They're very, very busy. A lot of work going on there. They've won 3 of their last 4. They're coming off a loss here. Right now, the spread on this game is Indiana minus 3.5. We definitely like the Pacers here. They're 16, 13, and 2 against the spread at home. So decent, but not amazing. But they're in a bounce back spot in this one, coming off that loss to the Toronto Raptors, where we saw them not really do exactly what this team is used to doing. They only scored 122 points. I know saying only sounds a little bit weird with that big of a number, but this team can really go off for a ton of points. We saw Mathurin go crazy. Siakam did really well, but we saw Halliburton play terrible. The guy only scored 9 points. How often can you say he scored in single digits? Not very often. Really, the whole starting lineup posted negative plus-minus numbers. The bench looked decent, so that's a good sign. Just in general, though, we expect this to be a big bounce-back spot for Indiana. We like them. They may be our biggest bet of the day. Next up, we've got Dallas at Toronto. Dallas comes into this game fresh off a loss last night at Cleveland. They lost thanks to a Max Strus, a little bit more than half-court shot. Crazy shot. He got super hot down the stretch in that game and ended up taking it away from the Dallas Mavericks. Luka had a huge game. Everybody played pretty much their full allotment of minutes in this one. Luka and Kyrie were both right there at around 40 minutes. Both of them played great. They accounted for 75 combined points. If they're going to score the ball like that and this team's still going to lose, the future looks a little bit dark. Obviously, they got pretty unlucky there at the end. Obviously, you're not thinking half-court plus shot is going in, but it did. They played a super close game the whole way, so I guess they can't complain too much about the team. They got the last shot winning the game, but in general, we've been looking at Dallas. They've been playing decent, but not great. I would have thought this would be a bounce-back spot for them, but Cleveland is a tough out. They won against Phoenix, which we predicted. That was pretty nice, but now they've lost 2 straight on this road trip that they're going on, and now they have to go to Toronto, which can be a little bit intimidating. This team has been playing a little bit better. They are 3-0 in their last 3. This young squad seems like it's gelling. Maybe they just needed the All-Star break to maybe vacation together or hang out together, or maybe they just needed a break. I don't know what it is. Maybe their coach offering them the equivalent of a pizza party is what's doing it. But right now, this squad is just playing really well. They're healthy. There's no major injuries. We see Pirtle marked as day-to-day, but whether or not he plays isn't going to be the end of the world for this team. In their 8-point win at Indiana, we saw RJ Barrett go off for 24 points. All 5 starters scored in double figures. We saw 2 starters score over 20 points. We saw the bench go nuts. This team is suddenly looking deep and good. They're 22 and 36, so I don't really think they're going to be able to overcome that 4-game deficit to make it into the play-in tournament. But right now, anything's looking possible. This team looks very good. We have some concerning trends in this game. Our heart wants us to go with Toronto a little bit just because it's the feel-good story, but Dallas has been playing great on back-to-back nights. They're 6-3 against the spread on no rest. They are 17-10 against the spread when they're playing on the road. All of this is going to lead me to take Dallas in this one. Dallas is only -3.5 in this game. Obviously, keep your eye on that injury report. If Luka or Kyrie ends up sitting out, obviously that instantly changes everything, and it will change the spread a ton. But right now, I just think we see Dallas figure this one out, get the bounce back win. They're going to be maybe a little bit depressed after that loss, so this might not be one of my bigger bets of the day, but we're definitely going to be taking the Mavs -3.5. Next up, we've got Memphis at Minnesota. Memphis comes into this game, losers of 2 in a row. They just got absolutely blown out by the Brooklyn Nets. Things continue to just be a nightmare for this team. Nothing good is going to be happening for Memphis this year. They are having some young players kind of emerge as maybe possible like role players. I don't think any of them are going to be like superstars, but seeing some homegrown hope coming up through the roster, through the ranks for this team seems like a definite positive. They did play the Clippers very close the other day, so at least occasionally they're trying, but they really laid down against the Brooklyn Nets. Not a team you really want to be laying down against if you're trying to get wins here, which we hope they are, but they only scored 86 points in that game. Really, really weak attempt. They lost the rebounding battle, which is not surprising. Jaren Jackson Jr. tried to do it all himself and failed pretty epically, posting a -17 plus-minus rating and going only 2 of 12 from the field. There's not a lot of positives for this team. They can't wait for this season to be over. Time to get a high draft pick and hope they can continue turning things around when they get healthy in the offseason. Minnesota took down the Spurs by 9 points last night in Minnesota, so they're going to be playing on no rest, but they're not having to travel, so that's something. Karl Anthony Towns sat this game out. He's been having a great season, but now he's out due to a personal matter. We don't know if he'll be back for this game or not. Since it's the first game of a back-to-back set, maybe there's some chance that he comes back tonight, but I kind of think he will likely be out for this game. Keep an eye on those injury reports, though. That's news that should come out, I would hope, relatively soon, but you never know. This is the NBA. Minnesota is actually pretty solid playing at home. They're 14-10-2 against the spread on their home court, and they're 4-3 against the spread on no rest. Right now, the Timberwolves are favored by 12.5 points. That seems like kind of a lot. I'm not a huge fan of Memphis, obviously, but they are 16-13 against the spread when playing on the road. In the head-to-head this season, the Timberwolves have dominated, though. They've won each game by at least 15 points, and most of the games by even more than that. So I think we're going to go with the Timberwolves playing at home. This is not going to be one of our bigger bets, but I think we will be on this game. Minnesota doesn't tend to really take nights off, and they've got a deep roster, so they can continue to score the ball. They match up well against Memphis, obviously, so we're going to be taking Minnesota to get the win in the cover, even though this is a big number. This is probably my second favorite play of the day so far. Next up, we've got Cleveland at Chicago. Cleveland comes into this game fresh off a crazy win last night, taking down the Mavs thanks to a Max Strus half-court plus buzzer beater. Crazy shot, crazy game. Good job for Cleveland. They really pulled this one out of the fire, but now they have to figure out a way to bounce back quickly. They are about to go to Chicago to take on the Bulls. Cleveland's now won 2 in a row, but the first win in that little mini winning streak was against the Washington Wizards, so we're not really going to freak out about that. Cleveland went into the All-Star game playing incredible. They've sputtered a little bit here coming out of the gate. This team is finally healthy after having so many injuries all season long. We can be a little bit worried about them maybe resting players here on back-to-back nights now that we're in the second half of the season, but it seems like they're focused on kind of hanging on to that number 2 seed. Having a high seed in the West might not matter too much, as you're going to have a tough first round opponent regardless, but having a high seed in the East is worth a lot. As long as you dodge the Indiana Pacers, you can at least hope to be in a good spot. Chicago comes in this game fresh off a tough one against Detroit. The Bulls have not been really killing it this season. They haven't been killing it lately. They did win at New Orleans their last time out before this game against the Pistons, so that's a little bit tough. This team has not lived up to the expectations, at least of ownership. I don't know why they didn't blow this thing up at the trade deadline. That really seemed like the way to go. Alex Caruso is listed as day-to-day. Torrey Craig is listed as out. We did see Caruso play against the Bulls, so will he play here on back-to-back nights? That's definitely a question. I'd be keeping a close eye on that injury report. Cleveland is currently listed as -4.5. That's kind of an interesting number. Cleveland on the road is 14-12 against the spread, but they're only 3-5-1 against the spread on no rest. Chicago is 14-13-1 against the spread at home and 4-5 against the spread on no rest. And it looks like they're going to lose this game against the Pistons. So I think we're going to actually be on Chicago and the points playing at home in this one. I think Cleveland's going to be a little bit dead after this crazy buzzer beater win and then having to travel. So I think we're going to go with Chicago in the points, but it is a very small lean. Don't really have much of a read on this game. I will not be betting it myself. Next up, we've got Sacramento at Denver. Sacramento comes into this game fresh off a loss to the Miami Heat. We called that one. That feels pretty good. Everybody pretty much played for Sacramento in that game. We saw Sabonis have kind of a mediocre night. I think he struggled with Bam quite a bit. The Kings shot 40% from the three-point line and still lost the game by 11 points. That is not a good look. That is not a good feeling. Sacramento is definitely in a bounce back spot on the road where they've been very good this season. They're actually 18-12-1 against the spread when they're playing on the road, but they're going to have a tall task in this one. The Kings are taking on the Denver Nuggets, who have looked like easily the best team in the NBA since the All-Star break and at different points during the season. They've won 3 straight, but with wins against Washington, Portland, and at Golden State, we're not like freaking out. But Jokic is the best player in the NBA right now, and this team is cruising. They're currently in the 3 seed, but they're only a game and a half back of the Timberwolves and the Thunder, who are in the top spot. I think there's a very real possibility that we see Denver take that spot over. Right now, this team is looking healthy and ready to go. KCP being healthy again is a huge step. Jokic and Jamal Murray are pretty much an unstoppable duo. Right now, the spread on this game is looking like Denver minus 5.5. They've been mediocre against the spread at home this season, going 13-13-1. But I think we see them lay down the law against the Kings. This is actually kind of a revenge spot for the Nuggets. The Kings are actually 3-0 against them this season. The last game was very, very close back on February 14th. And while Jokic did play, we did not see Jamal Murray suit up for that game. So I definitely think we see Denver come out with something to prove in this one, get a convincing win and cover at home. Next up, we've got the battle for LA. We see the Clippers facing off against the Lakers. Technically, this is a home game for the Clippers, but since they're playing at Staples Center, it's kind of a home game for the Lakers. Los Angeles is 2-1 in this season series so far, but the Clippers looked like by far the better team the last time these two met back on January 23rd, getting the 127-116 win. The Lakers come into this one fresh off a road loss at the Suns. Both LeBron and Anthony Davis are listed as day-to-day. I'm fairly confident they'll both play. You never know with those two. They could sit out at any time, but it's the typical thing. They always are listed as day-to-day or questionable or something. The Clippers come into this game fresh off a blowout loss against the Sacramento Kings. Paul George is listed as out. He did not practice Tuesday and will not play on Wednesday against the Lakers. He's dealing with a knee issue. That is a big deal. They're going to need him to get healthy, and they need him to get healthy quick, but they also need him for the playoffs. So I don't know, kind of a tough spot. They do have a cushion over the Pelicans in the standings, so the Clippers should feel pretty comfortable about holding on to the 4 seed. They've played some amazing ball this season, but right now they've been a little bit up and down. They just played a very close game against the Grizzlies, which is not a team you should be playing close games against. They got blown out by the Thunder. They got blown out by the Timberwolves. Like, winning against the Warriors, okay. Winning at Memphis, not impressive. And then getting the doors blown off you by the Kings. The Lakers have not been looking that great lately. They got blown out by the Warriors. They beat the Spurs in a close game, and then they got blown out, or at least lost by double figures at Phoenix. Neither one of these teams are really playing their best right now. It's kind of going to come down to whoever's healthy, so this might not even be a game that I'm on that much, which is unfortunate since this is normally a spot that I would love for the Clippers, but with Paul George out, I don't love it so much. We see Anthony Davis is probable. We see LeBron is listed as questionable. A lot of this is going to depend on the injury report, guys. Right now, it's Lakers plus 5.5. With Paul George out, I think I like the Lakers and the points, playing in what is going to be a pseudo home game for them and a pseudo away game for the Clippers. So I guess as a small lean, give me the Lakers and the points, but I probably won't be betting this one unless I see significant injury news. That's all of our games for today. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to comment below with any questions or comments about these picks or today's slate, and click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com to see all of our top plays. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you're enjoying these videos. We'll see you guys tomorrow for more NBA action.